Hi everyone, welcome to End of the World Weekly. Let me tell you how this show works. I'm Newsbot 29,000. I'm a robot from the post-apocalyptic future. I've been programmed to send these broadcasts into the past in hopes that you Earth humans can avoid all the calamities that led to the end of the world. Okay, got it? Good. So let me tell you about some of your current events and how they spiral out of control and bring about the apocalypse. Oh my. The big story this episode was the Muslim ban. In an effort to strengthen the Islamic State, last week Trump banned immigrants from 7 majority Muslim nations from entering the United States. You see, by alienating the entire Muslim world, ISIS was able to obtain all these new recruits who could have escaped their grasp, if only they had a safe place to escape to. And ISIS needed all those new recruits because for some reason all the old ones kept vanishing, almost like they were disappearing off the face of the earth. But hey, at least the Trump voters in Middle America were safe from all those terrorist attacks that kept cropping up under the Obama administration. Oh man, remember all of those? Let's just take a look at the map real quick to see all the carnage that was unleashed over Middle America during those 8 years. Huh. Well, that's funny. It doesn't look like any terrorist attacks happened in the heartland. And nobody from any of the 7 banned nations had ever attacked U.S. citizens on American soil. On Monday night, New York Senator Chuck Schumer cried a little while giving a heartfelt reaction to Trump's immigration ban. Tuesday morning, Trump made sure to make fun of Schumer and said that the senator had cried fake tears. Because Trump is a real man, and he's never cried in his entire life. And he knows that the only feelings real men have are anger and confusion. And if you're not channeling either of those two emotions into building tall buildings, or screwing over poor people, or some combination of those two things, then you deserve ridicule. And he learned that lesson from being a man's man, not from being beat up daily in prep school. And that brings us to this week's segment of Alternative Facts of the Week. So let's get to it. Alternative fact number 1. Kellyanne Conway made up a fake terrorist attack to justify Trump's immigration ban. Alternative fact number 2. Although both stylish and warm, humans had to stop wearing scarves this week. Somehow the rectangles of fabric gained a type of sentience and started choking all of their owners. Alternative fact number 3. America's addiction epidemic ended this week when red-blooded Americans boycotted Starbucks for pledging to hire 10,000 refugees. Oh, wait. Apparently America's addiction problem wasn't coffee-related. My bad. Alternative fact number 4. A former editor of Vice ran a drug smuggling ring out of the magazine's Canadian offices. He was found out after writing an article titled, "How to Run a Drug Smuggling Business Out of Your Canadian Office." Alternative fact number 5. Global warming was averted this week when it got cold enough in the Northeast for humans to wear winter coats for a couple of days. Problem solved. That does it for this segment of Alternative Facts of the Week. If you have any you'd like to share, put them in the comments and we'll put them up here next week. Last week, hackers took over the electronic key card system at a hotel in Austria, leaving the inn unable to make any new room keys for guests. The hotel was forced to pay a Bitcoin ransom so the hackers would put their keycard system back online. The hotel said in the future it would go back to the olden days of using real locks and keys to avoid similar occurrences in the future. Back to the days when you could get a bourbon on the rocks served to you by a ghost and freeze to death in a hedge maze that isn't in any of the overhead shots. Last week, the Hooters restaurant chain announced they were making some changes, including a new fast casual restaurant called Hoots that would ditch the demeaning outfits and hire male servers. Stepdads everywhere breathed a collective sigh of relief after it was clarified that the original Hooters restaurants would continue to operate as normal, so they still had a place to take their new teenage stepson to show him how cool they were. Anthony Weiner sexted multiple women over the years and was facing possible jail time for trading explicit messages and images with an underage girl in 2016. On Wednesday, reporters were lined up outside of his apartment to ask him about the possible jail time, but Weiner wouldn't answer any of their questions. Maybe if the reporters would have sent him a text message, he would have been more inclined to get back to them. On Wednesday, the United States Senate confirmed Rex Tillerson as Secretary of State. The former ExxonMobil CEO, with close ties to Russia, passed his confirmation hearing 56-43. In a surprise twist, it turned out Trump was only using Tillerson as bait to see which U.S. senators were actually red commies. After identifying the enemies who had infiltrated the Senate, Trump ran around shouting his signature catchphrase of, You're fired, not realizing that he didn't actually have the authority to fire a senator. 76 water protectors protesting the Dakota Access Pipeline were arrested after Trump signed an executive order to proceed with construction. Trump's White America First policy was on full display when signing the order. He was sick and tired of Native Americans always winning. Real Americans never won anything anymore. So he had to take this sacred land so Americans could start winning again. On Thursday, Trump's freshly appointed Secretary of Defense journeyed to South Korea to vow allegiance to America's ally, as well as threaten North Korea with an effective and overwhelming response if the hermit nation were to ever attack America or one of its allies with a nuclear weapon. And with this, the battle of the egomaniacs was on, and the planet collectively wished the two tough talkers would settle their beef personally. And a few years later, they did, when they went head-to-head in the ring. The boxing match was hyped for months as the ultimate showdown of bad versus evil, a real David versus Job story, a dog-eat-dog-eater grudge match. That ended in less than a minute after each leader got a few open-hand slaps in on the other. A homemade explosive device was detonated inside a California cheesecake factory on Thursday. Thankfully, nobody was hurt because the explosion was weaker than the typical bombs being dropped after a visit to the restaurant. Well, that does it for this episode of End of the World Weekly. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We also have a Twitter. You can follow us there. Any comments left here or on Twitter will appear in the scrolling text in the bottom of next week's episode. Thanks again. See you next time. Bye!
Delicious.